same bolt to go up on it.
I want to see if that's a downhole.
Welcome back to Backwoods Boys, everyone. Today's a little bit different. We are exploring a new area in the Rockies, actually. We've been out hiking and we ran across an old trapper's cabin. So it's a pretty cool thing. We're just exploring it a little bit. We figured we'd show you guys too, compare it to ours. It's a pretty fascinating little building. I don't know how old it is. I'm guessing very old. Most of the work has been done with an axe instead of a saw. We'll take you around and show you around in it. It's a pretty cool cabin. You can see here, it's all the logs here. They were sawed, but other than that, just whole logs. And then it was covered with sod instead of tin or shingles. The sod is simple. You can get it from, the ground all around the cabin. You don't have to haul in tin or roofing materials. Same with the logs. So there's, I'm guessing, minimal nails in this whole cabin. It's all, notched logs, not Hudson Bay corners. Notched with an axe, not a chainsaw. The only chainsaw work that really seems to be the case is over here in this window. And my guess is that this is not original. This was, you can see this was sawed out after the cabin was built anyway. And this window doesn't match the other window. There's not actually a lot of wall sticking out above the ground. It's banked with earth up almost even with the window over there. And then the roof comes down on this angle, so when the snow comes, this whole side will be banked with earth and snow to keep the heat from escaping. Really efficient use of wood for heating this way. Like our north cabin, or Dad's north cabin I guess, on the trapline, it's built with a tiny little door, which is kind of twofold purpose. It keeps the heat in during the winter. There's less of an area for the heat to be escaping, and also it keeps the bears out the rest of the year, or at least helps keep the bears out. Less of a place for them to push through, less leverage for them to lean on and force their way in. There's a bit of a carving on the side here. It says July 26th, Pinto bound. Pinto Lake is nearby here, but I don't know if that was the trapper or if that was more recently vandals, quite possibly. So here you can see it's a lot roomier than it looks from outside the cabin. They've also dug down about a foot. So between the banking on the outside and the digging down here, there's actually only from about here to here, from here or here up is exposed to the elements outside. So it really helps with the heat. You can see an old chimney hole here. The stove would have sat down there. Again, if you look at the door here, you can see all this axe work that went into it. All of the planking for this door was shaved flat with an axe rather than a saw. These logs he used, some of them are absolutely massive. Like, that is a solid log. And there's a reason it's down near the bottom rather than on top. Shane can attest to that. When you build a log cabin, you don't want to have your big heavy logs being lifted up above your head. So, but no wonder it's stayed solid so long, because he built with some pretty solid lumber. So we've got 5 ridge poles on this one with a massive center beam. Compared to a lot of the old cabins back home, most used 3 ridge poles with the 1 center pole. So this is extra strong, which is probably why it's still standing. That's a lot of support. At any given point on the roof, the snow is being supported by only that much roof before there's extra support underneath it, which is really important here in the mountains where there's a lot of snow throughout the year. It's got his bed here, again, all shaped with an axe and nailed together. I guess there is some nails in here, but also notched. Sturdy shelf, and a little tiny window there, which, just like the door, is meant to give enough light to do what he needs to do during the day, but not so much room that a bear can push his way through, which again is why I'm suspicious that window was done afterwards. And you can see on this window too, it was cut out with an axe. where the other one was cut with a chainsaw. So again, pretty sure that window came after the old trapper built this thing. This whole dugout floor here helps with, in the winter, you know, it keeps the heat from escaping because you're not directly exposed to the winter wind. But then in the summer, it keeps it nice and cool. It's about 32 degrees Celsius right now. It's super hot outside, but in this cabin, it's really nice, actually. It's comfortable. So it's doing the job even after all these years. And, you know, it's like the old mad trapper found, having it dug out like this is pretty handy. If you get engaged in a shootout with the Mounties, you can hide down low and shoot through the windows, or shoot through the wall there, and the Mounties are thinking you're standing up here when you're down below. I wouldn't recommend that, but it worked for the mad trapper, well, until they caught up with him down the road. But the walls are all chinked with moss and sod, and it's actually very firm in there. So he really packed it in. He probably layered, would be my guess, as he built the cabin, and so it compressed with the logs, and then would have kept adding as holes appeared and as squirrels worked their way through the walls. But it's really solid. There's no breeze coming through anywhere there. He did a good job building this cabin. I have no idea what this thing is. It's rusted, but it would have been on a bit of a swivel, and it's got a matching one directly across on the other side. I don't know if maybe it was swivels that he could tie a string to and use it for drying clothes during the winter or something. But if you guys have any idea what these are, let us know, because that's one we're not familiar with from our trapline. This old shelf, pretty solid, but it's also, you know, an aftermarket add-on. You can see it was all chainsawed flat, not done with an axe, so I doubt it was original with the cabin. But overall, it's a pretty fantastic cabin. Just the fact that it's still standing is amazing. We've got several old cabins on our trap line, and most of them have caved in, you know, 20 or 30 years ago. So this thing is definitely as old as ours and in way better shape. So we just figured we'd give you guys a tour of this as we explored it ourselves. There's just something about old cabins that's so cool. You can feel the history in this place. You can imagine the old trapper heating his coffee on his stove while he skins his animals. And yeah, what a place to spend a winter. But we got to get back to our cabins, so we'll see you later. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, watch for the next video.